Hi everyone, we have Zach today joining our podcast. So Zach has been helping Clip and Social Cat with the creative side, mainly ads, and yeah, he's an extraordinary talented editor as well. So he brings the A game to the table. But I'll let him introduce himself and talk a bit more about what he's doing, and yeah, we'll just discover the man behind the creative side, I guess, and his journey to becoming creator, I think, at the beginning, and then just a creative lead, because that's your title now, right?
Yeah, that's
Creative
my
lead. Yeah.
title, yeah. It's just like a weird group of so many different creative things that you're doing online.
Yeah.
Like it's all been bunched together now. Like creatives in
Exactly.
2025 are kind of expected to be like graphic designers, video editors. You're able to make UGC, also have to be good at creative strategy. Like if you want to be a creative in business, you have to like combine so many of the skills, I think. And that's what you're talking about earlier when you're saying like you need to combine skills to start a startup and be successful. But yeah, I said
Yeah.
already to you guys what I kind of do at Social Cat and Clip, but I'll say it again, it's like media buying, the actual like running of Facebook ads and meta ads, and then it's just everything creatives, graphic design and video editing, and then shooting in studios as well, and kind of just figuring out what hooks work, what call to action works, and just combining all of that together. So like creating the ad and then actually running it. So I'm able to see what works and what doesn't work, and then I can put that back into my loop and kind of think, okay, I know this hook works. Let me change it and put a different body on it and then run it again. And Social Cat and Clip has put me in this great position where I can just test all my creative ideas so quickly with a team around me. So I can make something I think works. We can put it in Facebook and test it. And if it doesn't work, you just scrap it again. You go again and again and again. And that's really rare to be able to test all your creative ideas so quickly, because normally, you can't just do everything yourself and you have to be split up on so many different things. But I'm in a great position now where I can just test my creative and see if it actually works on these social platforms. Yeah, which is great. Yeah.
I think this just
Yeah.
sounds so exciting when you say it. Like to be able to create your own content and then just like run it
Yeah,
yourself.
it's
Be like,
amazing.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think the point that you made like off the camera before is like that you either are a creative or a strategist. Like
Mm,
there's not many opportunities to be a little bit of both. I can't wait to hear how you actually became a creator and
yeah.
involved with Clip and Social Cat.
It is such a long, weird, winding road of like how I actually got here. Some people ask me, they kind of go like, how did you get into the like you said, like the weird space of like strategy and creative at the same time? And I literally say to everyone, just trial and error. Like so much trial and error and so much like being so bad at so many things for so long and just practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing to get into like this weird niche space.
I think it's interesting practicing being bad, like just getting your ideas out there. I feel like that's what we say to creators on Clip quite often in our feedback with Ali. I think you would agree, Ali, is that just experiment. Like not like no one needs to see this content. Like it can just stay in your phone forever or just in your deleted folder, whatever. But just like try to do things out of your comfort zone that just kind of push you out a little bit more, because that's when you grow. That's when you learn.
Mm.
That's when you like problem solve. This is where the magic in UGC happens.
Yeah, and I feel like too when it comes to even with like UGC, like there's so many creators now as well, and it's got so much more competitive that you do need to kind of find and like not just copy and paste what everyone else does. Everyone now is starting to guess and see that like, oh, that's a UGC ad, and they know it is, that you've got to get a little bit smarter, that you do have to keep, as you said, like trial and error, keep on trying. And I think sometimes creators, I know I can anyway, you kind of get into like this little safe comfort zone box of you'll have a little bit of a structure of how you do things, but you have to keep changing it up, because if you don't, then everything will look the same and the whole thing will, and then those ads won't perform. And I'm sure Maria and Zach, you can agree too, that you can't just keep doing the same ad. It has to be like something new, something different, chop and change it and all. So I personally would love to hear about like what's that been like in terms of coming up with different concepts and working together, because obviously you two are working quite closely together now as well.
I think that's one of the hardest things I struggle with constantly is like changing ideas and being creative on demand. I kind of call it. It's like when you have like set hours or you have a deadline specifically and you need to be creative in a meeting. Let's say me and Maria have like 2 hours to be creative and we have to start completely from scratch, which is what we do a lot because, we throw one out there one ad out there and it works. We throw another one out, it doesn't work. Like you can't just follow the one that works, because you need to create more winning ads at different angles and different concepts and sell to different customers. So you need to come back in and set 2 hours to think of a creative idea. But creativity doesn't work like that. So you can't just on demand make something. It takes like it takes like jumping back and forth, and getting things wrong again is like the main thing I come back to. And I think what we do in our meetings now is, because we've had like maybe 4 or 5 different meetings where we have to start complete from scratch, and by the end of like 2 hours come up with a completely new ad concept. And we kind of just throw the shittest ideas out there first, and just like there's no answers, just like everything, just all of this stuff, and just take inspiration from what we've made before, what other brands are doing, what kind of concepts they had like maybe at the start of Clip that haven't been touched in a while, maybe some new customers that we've noticed are on the market, and just every different angle we can, just throw it all out. And then we start thinking of like ways that we can make that entertaining for people, but ways that also fit Clip's brand, which is like premium, high quality stuff that's also a little bit like Gen Z and millennial. It's hard to think of new ideas constantly, but I think if you start with your worst ideas and you start by saying like, whatever's on the top of my head, just throw it out, then the good ideas will come, especially with you if you're with 2 people and you're like bouncing back and forth. Like Maria will tell me that kind of sucks, but I like this, and then I'll go, okay, yeah, maybe we do that, and then we can edit it like this, and then Maria will be like, no, that doesn't work, let's edit it like this, and then we actually make the ad a few times and go back and forth. And I think that's a good way of coming up with new concepts. I don't know what Maria thinks.
Yeah, no, I think it's the same. And I agree with you. It's just sometimes we won't lie. We will probably use ChatGPT as well, but not like to copy the ideas. Is more towards to open the doors to like a creative like mind. Exactly. Yeah. So and also I think we discovered a bit more how to tackle ChatGPT and get some better ideas, because we don't spend a lot of time on it, but it just helps us to get into that mindset. And then from there it's just us throwing like shit ideas most of the times. You just feel like, because you have this idea. For example, we had this thing with so the hook was your ads suck, right? And then we're just like, okay, how do we make this look entertaining for people, and it's not just about your ads that suck, and just do some whatever product video and you just put the text overlay, whatever. So we were thinking about ways of like making it this like cool, because obviously you need the actual creative, and most of the times, because we're working from home, there's no place that we can shoot and like get some b-rolls or whatever. Just think about, okay, let's just get some stock images, but then stock like footage is like, it can look very stock, you know? Yeah, exactly. So it's like, fuck, what do we do now? And then I think we had this idea of in my head. So in my head, everything looks so good. Like everything is just, oh my god, this is perfect. You know,
there's nothing worse trying to pull that then out and like to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
we need 2 elephants.
It's just that everything looks so good, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm just imagining it, how it's going to look like in the video, and everything is perfect. And then I say it, and then suddenly it's going down a notch, you know, and you don't feel that excited once you say it, and then when you start to actually put together like the actual visuals, it just sucks. Like, because I think I started from let's just have like a car that is speeding up, and it's just like like it stops and it just like goes into the word your ads suck, you know. And I was like, how do we do that? Where do we have this car? Where are we going? Like, because in my head, it's a perfect car that is going like miles an hour, you know? Like,
you don't have the budget for this.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, let's try to find some stock like videos. All the videos were shit. Like, nothing was obviously the one that I had in my head. So from there, we just like, okay, fuck it. We just have to dump this idea. There's no point, we can do it, right?
Yeah.
And then we came up with I think we came up with the girl that is spitting the coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
And then
She's doing what?
Is it's spilling the coffee. I said
but then again, like
spitting.
this is a perfect example, right? Because we spent like 2 hours making this hook, and then we put it out and it hasn't performed so far. So it's like, You have to
So
go
annoying,
straight back to
yeah.
the drawing board and then start again to find something
Yeah.
that does win. And you
Yeah.
can have like all the faith in your head and your heart saying like, this is gonna work. Like people are gonna love this. We spent so long doing it. Like this makes perfect sense. And then it just doesn't perform. And it's just
Yeah.
like a constant cycle of this. So you have to be very resilient, I feel like, when you're
This
doing
is
ads.
Yeah.
so the question here is, do you ever get like emotional over like this ad?
Mm.
Like I really thought that this like
Did I get
this was my
attached to it?
baby. Yeah, do you get
Yeah.
attached to the ideas? Is it hard to just be like, right, scratch that, next one, or is it
Yeah.
like is it actually easy?
There's a saying, it's literally just don't get attached to creative, right? That's the saying. And it's like I always have to come back to that because I came from a creative field where I get attached to my creative, right? I was making like YouTube videos and documentaries and like personal content
Yeah.
where you spend like a month on your creative, you get super attached to it, and then coming into the world of ads, you cannot get attached to everything because
It's
you'll
so
be
bad.
upset every single day if you get attached to your creative.
Yeah.
Because like we're switching off ads every day, like every week.
Yeah.
And these are ads that I've spent like 5 hours, 6 hours making, 2 hours brainstorming every single one. And if I get attached to any of them and it doesn't work, it puts me in this weird spot where maybe I'll leave it on for longer than I should and it will waste money and it won't do well. But in my head, I'm like, oh, this is a really good ad. This might do well. But it's only because I'm attached to it because I've made
Yeah.
it. So you have to separate
Mm.
yourself. And it's quite hard. And especially as well when Caesar comes in sometimes and he's like, switch it off, switch it off, switch it off. And we go through and switch off so many ads because they're not working, right? And he switch
I
off,
know,
switch off.
Caesar's just like black and white, like no,
Yeah.
It's like slashing
Switch
and
off,
like
off,
yeah.
off.
But
And
that's
I'm
what
there
you
like,
need, yes.
you do need that, 100% you need that. And I kind of sit there sometimes, I'm like, this one,
Okay,
I was
let
so
me just
excited
wipe
about
my
that one.
tears.
Yeah. But he's so right, like you have to just switch it off and just restart again. So do not get attached to creative at all. It's like it's really weird at first because obviously whenever you make something, like you have to put love into it for it to be good, right? And you get attached to the UGC that you make because like you spent so long on it and you've like thought about every single shot and the angle and the lighting, and it's like passion and also skill. And if it just doesn't work and someone just comes along and just deletes it, you're like, oh, why did I do that? But you
It's
have to think,
heartbreaking.
yeah, it's literally heartbreaking. It's like your baby they've destroyed, but you have to think, I made that to test it. That's how I think now. Like I made this creative to test, and actually it is valuable because I know now that doesn't work.
Yeah, I think as well for people even like listening right now, it's really nice to hear the honesty in it. That like, because I don't know about you, but a lot of the time I feel like within this industry, there's a lot of people out there is like, I know the secret sauce to making things go viral. Whereas sometimes it's quite nice to hear it's all bullshit. Like sometimes it is just pure fluke.
There's
that
there's
something will
no
work, or like last month something could work. That same creative this month will no longer work just because how like the environment, the economy, how different things are changing.
Everything,
But I wanted
yeah.
to like kind of circle back to what you said there. What I thought was really good was saying like on-demand creativity. It is so hard sometimes as a creative to constantly come up with new ideas, and I appreciate too that you said there and you pointed out that you still literally have a 2-hour meeting to come up with new ads and stuff because it's not that easy. And I feel like too as creatives like myself, Nicola, and like a lot of the time you can sometimes burn that creativity out, so you have to be so careful with it because you do need to come up with ideas but also take a break from it, try different wee things and then come back. And even too, I wanted to circle too again to the fact that you said about you do use ChatGPT. I think that's so good that you actually mentioned that because it's a pet peeve of mine. I feel like in the marketing industry, it's like treated as like a dirty little secret that like everyone uses it, but you can't say that you use it. Whereas everyone does use it, and I feel like we've spoke about it so many different times as well, but it is just using it in the right way and using it as an aiding tool. But like, let's not lie, we all to some extent will use it because if it's going to make our life easier, why wouldn't we? Like, and speed things up.
100%.
It's a tool.
100%.
It's a tool.
It
At
is
the
a
end of the
tool,
yeah.
day, it's always a tool. But Ali, coming back to your point of the like the hooks that we mentioned before, when it's like when something, you know, you sometimes get stuck on the idea of like, okay, I need to create like the most epic hook. And you're just there, you know, drawing the ideas, and like, especially when the client is quite pushy on that as well, right?
can
He
be
wants like the
savage.
most ridiculous
Yeah.
thing, right? I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not dropping my phone from the third floor. I'm not doing that. Like, but then I've worked recently. I've had a client, and it was like an app to learn English, and it's about like translating books or like something like that. So it's something to do with the books. And he basically asked me to like destroy my book, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I love my books. Like,
Send me
he's
a
like,
book,
oh,
we destroy
I'm
it.
just gonna send you a book. But then I was like a bit silly. I was like, but I feel bad just to like tear apart a book in general. Like, does that make me like weird? And he was like, well, okay, just think of something else. So I sent him a list of like 10 different hooks, and he gets back to me saying, I will pay you to shoot all 10 of them. And I was there like, well, great, but also some of them were a bit unhinged. So, okay, but anyway, so I recorded all those 10 hooks. Like 2 weeks after that, he comes back to me and he's like,
The book.
Nicola, no. So he was like, Nicola, I wanted to discuss the hooks with you and like how they performed. And I was like, I actually was so interested because like some of them were weird, like throwing out a book out of balcony or something. And he was like, well, the best performing hook was you drinking coffee.
Relatable thing. Always relatable.
And I was there like, see, just cozy, relaxed, just work sometimes. Like, you don't have to, not every client has to throw something out of a window.
But
Stop,
I think for him, that is absolute gold in terms of analytics, because it took you doing all of those 10 for him to then realise, you know what, I don't need these crazy hooks. Because that's the thing, like sometimes crazy hooks will work and work fantastic for certain brands or services. Other time they don't. And like, I think that's a really good way for him. And I think that goes back to people listening too, is it always comes back to testing different angles and seeing what sticks and what doesn't. Because you might be surprised, just like I'm sure he was really surprised too.
Yeah. Well, I was, to be fair, because I was like, surely, you know, we've got 10 options and all of them with the same video. So technically, you know, should show you, right? After a couple of weeks. So I was surprised too. And I was like, I'm actually going to just keep that, you know, maybe that coziness is what we need in this like rapid world right now. There's that actually what stops people is not something that's so shouty, but actually something that slows down a little bit. So that was quite interesting.
It's like what you said. You never know what's gonna work. I feel like that's super important. And there are a lot of people that say like, I have the secret sauce, or I can make you go viral, or I'll get a certain number of views or a certain number of sales. That's not true. They're all lying. They don't have a clue. None of them have a clue. It is like a mix of luck and skill and experience. It's all three of those things together. Like you can be making
algorithm.
Content, an algorithm, and you just can't predict that. Like you can try and learn it, but you're never gonna be able to predict it.
And I think
it literally does. There's an update like every month, and then you have to relearn. There's people that have been making content for like 10, 20 years, and they have a better understanding of how to go viral, but not everything they make goes viral. So that should just tell you that you can't just learn it and become perfect and make everything go viral. It is all just like luck and timing and experience.
And I think too, a big thing with going viral is a lot of people attach so much like success to this, whereas going viral does not guarantee conversions. Like you could go viral for engagement, but that's not going to actually relate to sales, where it could be an actual video that did not go as viral. However, as you said there, like there's time, energy, thought put into actually creating like a good creative that will convert for you. So I feel like I personally wish for this industry people would attach less to wanting always to go viral and instead think, you know, how can I warm up my customer? How can I take them through the journey? What will actually make them convert? And sometimes those ones aren't going to be the ones that gets the most engagement, but yet it'll work. So it's tricky though.
That's super important with UGC. Like that's why UGC is so important, because you can have a UGC video that, like you said, warms up your audience. It doesn't necessarily get like 50,000 views, but it warms up 10 customers. And if you're a small brand and you've warmed up 10 customers with one video, that is a super valuable video. But you can't see those metrics. They're hidden. You can't see how many people watched your video and thought, oh, that's a cool product. But you're never going to know that. You're never ever going to know that. But you can kind of tell from like how good the UGC is, like what creators, you know, made your UGC, how much effort and time has gone into the UGC. And I think people are so quick to like look at the engagement metrics, but like you said, that doesn't equate to sales, and that doesn't mean anything for your brand. Like you can go viral for the wrong reasons and damage your brand.
True.
Exactly.
And I think I always use the example too of like, if you're scrolling social media, I will come across amazing videos or amazing pieces of content. Do I like and comment on every single piece of them? Never. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm probably quite bad with interacting with pieces of content I really do like. However, I like that content and it's made me think about it, and then I'll see it, and like 9 times out of 10 down the line I've ended up purchasing because it's like warmed me up. But they weren't to know I was a customer in the background seeing that and actually doing that. So I think sometimes too, while analytics and all are so important, sometimes there is a bit of emotion that you can't actually catch in those analytics.
Yeah, of course.
And it comes back to just making sure, like, circling back to the fact that you want to make sure the content that is going out, it's relevant to the brand, it's got their tone of voice in it, it's relatable, and it's getting across that key message that they want for that piece. But yeah, there's so much to it, like, it's crazy.
But we're just a new, different generation. We react to ads differently. Like,
Sure.
if we watch a video and it's about, I don't know, a mic, right? Because we're creators and we're going to be targeted with a mic advert, right? We're not just going to buy this mic, buying like from that link. No, it's going to stay in our head, and then we're going to go on TikTok or on Google and find reviews and read more about it. So our journey is so much more complex. It's not as much of like, oh, I'm just going to buy it right now, like on TikTok shop. There's a different audience for that. And I feel like that's another thing to understand with your content that you're going to use in your ads is like, what do you want the audience to do with it? Because if it is just going to be for those, I don't know, 50 plus people who might actually just buy it for the sake of buying it because it's a drop shipping and it's cheap product, so their emotion is kind of driven that way? Or do you have a genuine product that you actually want people to enjoy and you want them, to get that product and be happy with it? And then that's going to be a totally different ad that is going to perform for them. And that metric is not going to be there because they're probably just going to Google you randomly or, talk to friends about it and buy it in person. You never know.
Yeah, that's why UGC is important, because like you said, you can go on TikTok and watch someone interact with the product that you want. So if advertisers aren't using UGC and they're just throwing up like old school polished ads or just static ads, you're taking away that whole element of like customer reviews, unboxing, how it looks in your house, how it looks with people that are similar to you. That's why UGC is so important, because it allows you to like see that product in a whole different light that advertisers have never been able to show before. And it warms your audience up. Yeah, it shows them that this product is for like everyday people and it's for you, and this is how it looks on your desk. And that has changed advertising completely. Like, it's never been like that before. Normally you show the ideal person using your product, or you show someone super famous using your product, and that has worked for so many years. But now TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts is up. You can see so many people from across the globe making content. So of course, normal people need to be using your product for other people to buy it, and those metrics can't be tracked as well. But yeah, the UGC is so interesting that it's like come about and it actually works so well. And there's so many statistics now, and there is metrics behind UGC working so well that if you're not using it to advertise, especially in e-com and services, like, you're not going to do as well as companies that are. And that's that's a fact. That is a fact in 2025. So it is amazing that I meet some brands now that still don't know what it is, or still aren't using it to even test on their audiences. They're just like, no, it needs to look good because my brand is so nice, so I need polished ads. Like, okay, but you're not going to get any sales. You're not going to get any customers. You're not going to get your dream customers if you don't put it in the hands of people that look like them. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's such a good point that you mentioned there about like it has to be relatable and like normal people. There's actually like an account I follow, and it's such a good example. It's a sunglasses brand, but their marketing I just think is fantastic because it's so different. Basically, they don't push sales whatsoever on their page. It's very much like aspirational, and it's basically this old couple, husband and wife, and they're just having generic conversations, but they're in the area and they're like very much styled to be that brand's aspirational for the people that would be buying. They want to be those people, so they're always wearing these funky glasses. They're having like these funny conversations, and like their posts are always incredibly relatable. And anytime I ever, because I just love looking at the comments to see how are people actually reacting to this, people always are like, I have no idea what you're selling, but I absolutely love this brand. And they're like, I didn't even realize this was white glasses. I didn't even realize this and that. And they're like, but I just love it. But then you can see they've created a really premium, but it's also like a polished UGC with this style of having these everyday conversations in their home. They're making dinner, but they're wearing these glasses and these subtle hints that I think that relates back to the fact of UGC is you want it to be really relatable, that it is no longer, and we spoke about it before too, that influencers we kind of felt like became a little bit less relatable, that people like they've kind of lost their authenticity, whereas a normal person telling me about it that aren't getting paid thousands of pounds, like you're more likely to be like, oh well, what is that? So I feel like that's kind of maybe the sneaky little in for UGC is because it feels so normal, it looks more authentic compared to really polished influencers instead doing it.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's also more accessible for creators, right? Because you don't have to have the followers, you don't have to have an audience to talk to, right? So you can become a creator if, I mean, I think that's how you pretty much started, Zach. You became a creator as like that, right? You,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't really have a
I can talk about my
following or.
background a little bit. It was because it is a
Please.
weird route to get here. Becoming a UGC creator was kind of 2 years after I started making content, which is a bit of a weird like angle to go with. But I started off whilst I was living in Australia in Melbourne. I just kind of decided one day I want to start a YouTube channel, right? And I bought like a tiny little GoPro, and I was just traveling a lot, like backpacking and doing cool stuff. So I thought, okay, let me just record everything, and I can just kind of put it on YouTube, and I'll blow up in a couple of months and get 1 million followers. And then for the rest of my life, I'll be financially secure and it'll be amazing. And it's just going to take like 6 months, and that will be my plan forever. So I did that. And obviously 6 months later, no one was watching my videos. They were really bad videos. Like, obviously that's not how it works. Like, I just thought it was. But what I learned, which was super valuable, was one, like what we were talking about earlier with the startup energy, is like I learned how to do stuff myself without kind of saying, oh no, I can't. I just learned how to video edit. I learned how to, record things and make them look pretty. I learned how to do YouTube thumbnails. I learned how to do YouTube descriptions. I learned how to post a video, like all these tiny things kind of build up over time. So I started this YouTube channel and I just did it for ages and ages and ages. And I came back to England and I still didn't really have any followers. And I decided, okay, cool. I've got to the point where I'm pretty good at making videos now, but I'm not earning any money on YouTube. So what's another route? And obviously I found Clip just online. I was like, okay, I want to make videos for brands. I found Clip because I was just searching like, how do I make it, blah, blah, blah. And I found like UGC and stumbled across this new thing, which like a couple of years ago was still super new. And it's like, a lot of brands still didn't know what it was. And then you start making UGC and you start getting better at it. You start getting better at cuts, at scripts, at captions, like all these tiny little skills that the only way to get better at them is to just repeat and do it over and over and over again. And I started working on Clip with brands and I started making loads of UGC and I was making it every week and I was really enjoying it. But I was still at university at the time, so I had to stop eventually because, I had to choose between my degree or becoming a full-time UGC creator. And I chose my degree, which was a good idea at the time. But yeah, UGC has definitely got me further in life, which is quite funny. Yeah, and then after I was making UGC for a while on Clip, I then kind of got into this headspace of, I still want to be making YouTube videos. Like that is my long-term, full-time passion. So I was still making them and they started to perform a little bit better just because I was getting better at making videos. And then I kind of went from being a UGC creator to being like this strategist hat that I put on. Like my YouTube video is getting views, so I can take that to brands and I can say, hey, look, I make UGC, but I also know how to get views organically. Let's work as like I am your internal person, right? So I started this agency and I went on to loads of different e-com brands. And I just focused on making them content that was cool, like the sunglasses brand, right? I said, look, I don't want to push sales. I don't want to push ads. I want to make you cool content. I want to make you not a business brand, right? Like I want people to look at it and go, oh, this is a cool brand. And, their beard oil is kind of cool because this content's cool and they're doing public interviews and, it's shot really well. So I did that for a while and I worked with e-com brands. But the problem with that was I was so pulled into different like niches. Like I was doing beard oil and then I was doing like functional mushroom gummies. And then I was doing like all the weird e-com brands. And I was like in all these different companies being their strategist and their filmmaker and their editor. And it was just pulling me all over the place. And it just completely took my attention away from YouTube. So then I decided to just completely stop it with kind of like no plan. And I just kind of like, I dropped out of all these companies and I kind of dissolved my agency and booked a one-way flight to Thailand and just kind of said, look, YouTube is my complete passion. Like I've been ignoring it for so long. And at this point, I kind of had a better idea of what works organically, what people want to see. And it made me realize that people don't really care about you. Like there's so many people online saying, this is what I did and this is my perfect day and I had this experience. People were caring about story, right? And it's like, I can tell better stories of really interesting people that aren't me. And people kind of look at that and they go, okay, it's not just another wannabe influencer that's trying to blow up talking about his life. He's actually telling interesting stories of other people. Went to Thailand and I found like an MMA coach. I found like people that were living in the slums that were starting schools, like really amazing stories. And I started just documenting this and putting this out on YouTube. And then it started to do really well because people could kind of tell I was making this for the passion. And obviously I'd been on YouTube for like 3 years at that point, not getting any views. So there was this like feeling that on my channel that was like, this guy's not doing this because he wants to be a wannabe influencer anymore. Like he's doing this because he actually cares about YouTube. And it was true at that point. Like I've been doing it for too long not to just to be there for the views and the money. And I started doing YouTube more and more full time, and I was going to amazing countries doing it, like Cambodia and Indonesia. And it still wasn't making me money, even with like 500,000 views. It still wasn't, not a full-time job, and it still wasn't kind of sustaining me. And I looked at it again and I thought, okay, now I have this new set of skills where I am like an experienced creative strategist. I am really good at making content. Like I can do studio shoots. How do I combine this all together? Because I was just doing like little bits and bobs for people here and there. And then Clip and Social Cat came along. It was Stefan that came along first, and he kind of said, hey, you've got all these skills and we have a role that can combine everything that you've been learning for like the last 4 years into one job. And it's within a startup, and it's within a business that, you know, you can work in a team. We all know what's going on, and we're quick and we're fast paced and we're Gen Z and we're millennial. And I thought this is the perfect opportunity for me. So then I ended up in this role, but it's come from like 4 years of just not knowing what the hell I'm doing and just trying so many different things and just learning so much and constantly failing. And like you said, like my agency completely crumbled. My YouTube channel wasn't getting views for ages. And then kind of in 5 months, my YouTube channel blew up and I got this position, and it all just kind of changed from there. It's so weird how it happens.
That's class, yeah. That's
Yeah.
so like it literally just like the saying is like it just literally all worked out and things came at
Yeah.
the perfect time. But then probably like not to get all spiritual and deep and stuff, but like you probably had to go through all of that for then you
Yeah.
to get like where you needed
That
to
was
be.
your hero journey.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's such
no,
a weird
that's.
long story, but I ended up in the perfect place. So what does that tell you?
I think it was a great journey for you, to be honest. I don't think you regretted any bit of it, right? I think you're just, yeah, I think that actually made you the person you are today, you know, and all the skills that you have and the mindset and the right. I feel like also this thing of like traveling and understanding. Oh, by the way, you should watch his YouTube like videos. I watched a couple of them and they're so interesting. Like, is this guy that he built his house literally from the ground, like in I think it's in Thailand,
In Cambodia, that one.
in Cambodia. Oh, that's in
Yeah,
Cambodia. Okay, so yeah, but yeah, you can let us know your channel, like your name of the channel, so we can
Yeah,
have a
it's
look.
just Zach
Yeah.
Saeed, it's just my name.
Zach Said. Okay.
But yeah, like you said, I think the skills that you need as a creative, the only way to learn them is to do years of creative work. And I think everybody needs to know that when you start, you're not going to be very good. And it's quite scary because you're making videos that go public, right? Like even UGC, your face is all over this brand and you might not be very good at UGC yet. But if you actually stick it out and you have kind of like resilience and you believe that like, oh yeah, it's happening for a reason, then if you just keep creating, you will get to this point where people will be after you because you've been doing it for so long and you have so many skills that are so hard to get just because they take years of experience and people aren't willing to like put in that work. And you get to a really good position where you kind of love your job because it is just creating, but you can also like, you're pretty good at it and you can work for cool brands and you can make money, and it's a really good spot to be in, I think.
Yeah, I think UGC is great because it combines like all of those things that obviously we discussed. And for people who have that little bit of creativity flair in them and they can't really find themselves in this like corporate like race, you know, to whoever even knows what, like what are you racing to? Like, what are you doing? You can't be happy to type for 8 hours a day. I don't believe that. And then you've got all those incredible like digital opportunities now that just, you know, the obviously internet has its dark bits and that, you know, is bad, but there's so much good in it. There's so much opportunity that you like us youngsters, I just called myself a youngster, but like we can find ourselves doing it like with your YouTube channel. Like that's incredible, but we know how much time it takes to push through. Yeah. And so many people would just give up already and not get to that point that you got to. And I feel like that's incredible. And that's what we should give ourselves more credit for, is that we pushed through to the point where we're like, okay, we're not where we want to be yet, but like the journey is already quite epic. So it's like, we just keep going.
Yeah. I'll keep going. Yeah, I'll keep doing it. Yeah. Yeah. But
you
that's
have to
again,
be so
that's
resilient.
Yeah, that's resilience, that's devotion, that's hard work, that's because you were asking earlier if you get attached to creative. Of course you get attached to creative. When I first started to do ads for Clip, and then they were not working, and I put like 4 hours of my time into it, and it was a shitty video, like, let's be super honest, like, don't get me wrong, and that was not getting anything. I was like sad, like the day that I was they decided to, like, no, we have to close it, and everyone, because at the beginning the guys were just like trying to be nice and supportive, and they were just not like, oh, we'll close it, and they were just like, let's just give it 2 days and see how it goes, but then deep down you knew that it's a bad ad, it's not going to perform ever, so yeah, the moment we were just like closing them, I was super sad, I was like, fuck, like, I don't know how, like, I think the main, for me at least, the first thought that comes to my mind is like, I'm not good enough, I don't know how to do good ads. Why am I doing here? Why am I a founder if I can't do ads, So it was hard at the beginning, but now, honestly, I don't care. I don't care.
So this is where you are now, where you just don't care. Would you say that you're just like, okay, if it doesn't, like,
it doesn't, like, exactly, like, I mean, it's very easy for me to say now because I'm not doing it properly, like, it's not me doing the video, right? But still, if I launch like a static ad, for example, and it's not working, like, fuck it,
we move,
that's it, we move on, like, yeah, because the whole point is, and I think the thing that like made me push through this is because I think I was determined to prove that I can do it. And I was just going and pushing myself, like, okay, I will spend more time and I will do more research and I will think more about hooks and I will think more about like the copy and all these things, and just trying so many things, like testing so many things, like understanding why that video didn't perform, why is it shitty, because I think that's one thing that people don't really focus on. They're just like, oh, okay, let's just do something else, let's just think about something new, let's just change this or whatever. But then, okay, do you understand why that didn't perform? Or even an ad that you created and it looked like it performed at the beginning and it didn't, same, go back to it, understand why it performed, understand the timeline that it performed, understand the changes that you might have done to. I think that's pretty it comes with
I think it's just consistency too, which I think a lot of people don't always understand, that it's sometimes consistently doing things shitty until it gets better, because you have to start.
That's true.
Like, it can't be any worse than when you start. So like the only way has to be up, and like fair. But I always do believe anyway that if I work hard and I'm consistent, I will always do well, because I will beat the people that won't be consistent, that they could be more talented than me, fair enough, but no one will be more consistent, that I know that, okay, it will work. But I think, especially to creators, anyone listening to, like, that is a thing, like, just keep trying. Like, if things are ads, if you're a brand and it's just not really hitting, take the analytics that you can get and like really use them and think, okay, fair enough, that ad wasn't good and I thought it would have been, but what did I learn? Okay, well, that's the actual bonus. And like, there will be, if you look hard enough, you might have to look hard sometimes, there will always be something good out of it, and there's always a learning opportunity. I definitely think in everything.
But it also comes down to the whole like imposter syndrome that we already discussed, right? It's
true.
Like, because we don't believe that we have like, not necessarily
what it takes.
Because you can have the confidence in yourself, but still you're like how come I'm able to do it? Like, it's almost like you're pretending to be an adult, like you're married, but you're still pretending, you know what I mean? And it's that feeling, but it's not just the beginning, because it keeps coming back, and that's again that resilience to like push those thoughts away again. I think it was the beginning of January, I had quite like a rough like confidence patch when I was like, and it was random, because it was like after a great period, the Christmas just kind of went, I could kind of have like a breather from content and everything, but it worked the other way for me.
Right.
It was like from going back from that cheer and family and la-di-da to then being on my own creating not to like my standard in my head. And then I feel like what kind of brought me like down to earth was that brands also started like not maybe noticing it, but I started getting feedback, and I'll be like, not to be like an asshole, but I don't really get feedback.
Now we can see that. No, I can confirm that, because we check messages on Clip, and we can see like the request edits, right? Messages. And
Thanks, Maria.
I don't think I've ever seen like a request edit for a brand for Nicola. I mean the worst, but the worst case scenario was like you mispronounced something, or something like it was not about the creative, right? It was just about spelling mistake,
Yeah.
So yeah.
But then
Sorry, go on.
There was this patch when I was like, I think it was like 3 clients in the same week, and I was just like, every email would just bring me like boom, 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 And at the end, I was just there like, what am I doing? Like, is it even? And I was like, now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, ridiculous. Like, I questioned this whole year that was going well because of that 3 videos that happened. I'm like, Nicola, think about it. You've probably made like 200 videos last year, and this is 3. What are you doing? And then, how easy it is to just bring yourself down, but how hard it is to actually like
bring yourself
get
up,
back up and go like, okay, this is, restart. We're clicking that restart button. It's a new week. It's a new year, whatever. It's hard.
Yeah.
But like we do
it's
it.
so
and
hard.
Like, again, we just don't give each other enough credit.
But what I would say,
push through.
I don't know about any of you, and this is maybe just to me, but I do find if, for example, like I was on honeymoon, so I've been off for 2 weeks and I haven't done, now I've got like a backlog of UGC. But when I take a break, especially Christmas time too, coming back, when I have a break, I get really like nearly imposter syndrome when it comes to filming videos again, because I'm like, I've had a break, I haven't been in my like usual flow of like, okay, script, plan, film, and then I'm like, is this going to be okay? Is this going to be all right? That sometimes I feel like when you get out of your usual flow, it takes
how do I record? How do I record a video?
Like, can I do this again?
Where's the record button?
What I would say for that though is there's something really interesting that's like happened throughout my creative careers. I've got better when I take breaks, which is like it sounds obvious, right? Because as a creative you get burnt out so easily. Whenever I've taken like a 2-month break from YouTube, or like I took a 3-month break from my agency, when I came back I was super rusty and I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, and I felt imposter syndrome as well. But I noticed that maybe not straight away like the first week, but maybe the 6-month period after that break, I'd always come back stronger and with like better creative ideas, better business mindset, and less kind of like taking shit from other people. I don't know, like you go away for a little bit.
An attitude.
Yeah, you come back and you're like, actually, I was doing that right, and you're wrong. And when you take these breaks and you come back, you are always stronger. And like every time I'm taking a break from my channel, I come back and the next 6 videos blow up more, or like I get more subscribers, or maybe I take a break from the agency and I come back and I had better performing campaigns. I think it's so important to take a break, like especially as a creative, because you burn out so quick. And the only time you're going to get real improvement is when you stop and think and just kind of like let it flourish a little bit. I don't know.
But that is such a good point, because you start, maybe a part of it is because you start missing it. You start missing creating. So you've got that, it's like, oh, I can't wait. Like sometimes I'm like back home in Poland with my family and I'm like eating dinner, randomly thinking, I cannot wait to just pick up the camera, the tripod, give me some makeup, like I'm ready. And then it's like, and you're right, it might take a couple of days, because then the procrastination comes into play as well. You come back and you're excited, but then you're like, but
I have all this stuff to do.
Yeah, exactly. And then you start like, maybe that's what stops you for those couple of days before then you're like, okay, now I'm really like desperate to just create something. That's a very interesting point. And I can guarantee that a lot of people who are watching this would be like, I relate so much to that.
But it's scary to take breaks sometimes as well, because you think that it's going to affect your business, or you think it's going to affect your like flow of clients and flow of videos. But it is okay to like take big breaks when you need it, and you will be better. Like it's not going to go anywhere. And maybe you see like a slight drop in client reach out, or you see a slight drop in views, or your videos are a bit rusty when you come back, but I guarantee you'll be better for it when you take your like big break and you come back and you have a think about what you were doing and kind of like challenge your process beliefs. So you think, okay, this was the best way I've been script writing for 3 months, and then you take a break and you think, maybe I could do that a little bit differently, and you come back and you change it and then it performs better. And it's, I don't know, taking breaks in the creative industry is like seen as super bad and you're going to fail, and even in startups, but it's so important to take breaks because you'll be better when you come back. Guarantee.
Yeah.
I'll keep some months off.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I know. I was gonna say, have we any other talking points, or do you think we're good to wrap up?
I think we have enough talking
I
points. I don't
I
know.
was also going to say is because I think it was such a nice episode and it was flowing so nicely, and I was thinking during this recording that we could do like a mini series with Zach when we discuss
Oh
hooks,
yeah, yeah.
body, and then CTAs.
That's good. Yeah.
I was thinking the same. Yeah, at some point we were talking about ads. I was like, oh, but he knows so many things now.
Exactly.
Like we could definitely do it.
Because you've got this strategy view and creative, and then we can talk from like the feedback.
Yep.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get into
dig
other
deeper.
things, and it would be really nice to, I think, make like a mini series
Mm.
of that.
Yeah,
Obviously, if
I
you're up
think
for that,
so.
Zach, if we haven't tired you.
No, yeah, it's 100%. It's great. I love it.
Thanks so much, Zach, for coming. Hopefully, we'll see you in some other episodes because it was really, really nice. It was a really productive, I think, kind of like episode for me at least to get back on creative and understand better the process behind and even your journey. I think it's so incredible and just opening the eyes of people in general. Maybe in this field of like, oh, I want to become a creator, or still being a creator but losing their sparkle or anything like that. I think it can definitely help. In the meantime, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, TikTok, email hello@useclip.com. Watch our episodes on YouTube and Spotify as well, and yeah, we'll see you in our next
join
episode.
our-
And
Lives as well every 2 weeks.
we will definitely do that. So probably next week we're going to do oh yeah, next week we're going to do a live.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you on there. Otherwise, yeah, have a great one, and I'll see you on our next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.